This bald dude in a black t-shirt just broke a Guinness World Record by selling 2.9 million books in 24 hours, generating $81 million. And he did it without a single Lamborghini, rented mansion, or here in my garage moment. While other business gurus are flexing fake watches and leased supercars, Alex Hormozi is quietly building what might become the first legitimate billion-dollar business education empire. And here's the part that'll mess with your head. He's doing it by giving away his best content for free. Most creators who hit $100 million start selling courses about how they made $100 million. Hormozi made $100 million, then gave you the exact playbook in a $30 book. While Tai Lopez faces $112 million in SEC fraud charges for his Ponzi scheme, and Dan Locke's students are going broke trying to become high-ticket closers, Hormozi's portfolio companies are generating over $250 million annually in actual verifiable revenue. This isn't theory, this is a completely different game being played at a completely different level. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how Hormozi is building toward billion-dollar status, why his strategy is the opposite of every other guru you've seen, and what this means for the future of business education. Because whether you love him or hate him, the man is writing the blueprint for how to become a creator billionaire without becoming a meme. Alright, before we get into this, here's what I did. I spent 2 weeks analyzing every public business transaction Hormozi's made, tracking his portfolio company growth rates, breaking down the $46.2 million gym launch exit that was announced via Business Wire, not some Instagram story, an actual press release, and mapping out the revenue streams that nobody talks about. I'm talking Business Wire filings, Acquisition.com's public portfolio data, YouTube analytics showing 34.2 million monthly views with 3.79% engagement, and the actual math on how someone goes from 100 million to 1 billion. Look, I'm not here to fanboy or hate. We're following the numbers, the verified exits, and the business model that's so different from typical guru nonsense that it barely gets recognized for what it is. Some of this genuinely surprised me. Let's get into it. So who is Alex Hormozi, and why does $1 billion even matter when we're talking about a guy who gives away books at cost? Because understanding what Hormozi's building requires understanding what he's not building. He's not building a course empire. He's not building a personal brand for speaking fees. He's building something that looks more like Berkshire Hathaway for digital businesses than it looks like Masterclass or Skillshare. Most people think Hormozi is just another business influencer with good marketing. His YouTube has 3.3 million subscribers. His book sold 2.6 million copies. He's got the bald head and black t-shirt uniform that's become instantly recognizable surface level. He looks like every other business content creator who escaped the algorithm and built an audience. But here's what nobody's connecting. The content isn't the business. The content is the lead generation for the actual business, which is a private equity firm that owns chunks of 20 plus companies doing a combined $250 million in revenue. When Tai Lopez was filming Here in My Garage with rented Lamborghinis in 2015, Hormozi was running 6 gyms he'd opened at age 26. When Lopez's empire collapsed into SEC fraud charges a decade later, Hormozi had sold Gym Launch for $46.2 million in actual verified cash, taken $42 million in distributions before the sale, and built Acquisition.com into a portfolio generating more annual revenue than most public companies. The difference? One guy made money teaching how to make money, the other made money, then taught it, and that difference is about to create the first legitimate billion-dollar business educator. So let's start with where Hormozi actually stands today, because the numbers are kind of absurd when you add them up properly. The public verified stuff, $46.2 million for 66% of Gym Launch and Prestige Labs in January 2022, announced via Business Wire by American Pacific Group. But here's what people miss. He'd already taken $42 million in owner distributions over the 4 years before that sale. That's $88 million in documented verifiable wealth from just 2 businesses before he was 33 years old. That's not, I made $100,000 per month from Amazon FBA guru math, where nobody can verify anything. That's actual press releases and public filings. Then there's Acquisition.com, his private equity holding company. As of 2024, the portfolio generates over $250 million in annual revenue across 16 plus industries with 20,000 plus daily leads. But here's the clever part. Hormozi doesn't take majority stakes. He typically takes 38 to 40% minority ownership, provides operational support and marketing strategy, then helps these founder-led companies scale toward exits. It's like he's running a venture capital firm, except instead of betting on ideas, he's betting on proven businesses that just need better systems. When these companies exit, and several are positioned for exits in the $50 to $100 million range based on industry multiples, his equity stakes print money without him having to operate anything. His 2024 investment in School might be the smartest move nobody's talking about. After Hormozi became co-owner, the platform exploded from 3 to 5 million users to 15 plus million in under a year. year, doubling monthly traffic from 8 million to 17 million visitors. School charges $99 monthly for creators to host communities. That's a SaaS model with recurring revenue that scales infinitely. If School hits 1 million paying creators at $99 monthly, that's $1.2 billion in annual recurring revenue. Hormozi's stake in that. Nobody knows the exact percentage, but even 10% of a billion-dollar SaaS company is game over money. It's like if you'd invested in Patreon when they had 5 million users, then watched it 3 times in a year. But here's where it gets really interesting. The content empire everyone sees is actually the smallest part of his wealth, and that's completely intentional. Now, this is where Hormozi's model breaks your brain if you've been following typical business gurus. His books, 100 million offers and 100 million leads, are priced at approximately $27 for physical copies. That's basically at cost pricing when you factor in printing, distribution, and Amazon's cut digital versions, often free. Both books sold 800,000 plus copies each and held the number 1 and number 2 spots on Amazon's marketing and sales bestseller list for over 3 years. That's insane dominance. But the math doesn't math if you're thinking like a course creator. Let's do the calculation. 1.6 million books at $27 each is $43.2 million in gross revenue. Subtract Amazon's 40 to 55% cut, printing costs, distribution, warehousing. Hormozi probably netted maybe $15 to $20 million across both books over 3 years. That's good money. That's buy a nice house money. But that's not become a billionaire money. Tai Lopez was making $20 to $60 million per year from his $67 monthly courses at peak. The book business by itself doesn't explain the trajectory toward $1 billion. Here's what everyone misses. The books aren't the product. The books are the lead magnet for the actual business. When you buy $100 million offers for $27, you're not Hormozi's customer. You're a prospect. The actual customers are the business owners doing $3 to $5 million in annual revenue who read the book, realize this guy actually knows what he's talking about, then apply to have acquisition.com invest in their business. Think about the qualification filter that creates. Someone who reads a 300-page business strategy book and implements it successfully is exactly the type of founder Hormozi wants to invest in. The book is a $27 audition to become a portfolio company. It's like if Shark Tank forced you to read Mark Cuban's autobiography before you could pitch to him, and the book costs $30 but contained the exact investment criteria he uses. The $30 isn't the business, it's the filter. Hormozi spent an estimated $70,000 to $90,000 monthly on content production at peak, creating 35,000 plus pieces over 40 months. That's $3.6 million in content costs. But if that content attracts even 5 portfolio companies that generate $50 million exits, the ROI is 10,000%. That's not content creation. That's the most expensive lead generation funnel ever built, and it's working perfectly. The August 2025 100 million money models launch proved the model works at scale. A 9.5-hour live stream, 2.9 million books sold in 24 hours, estimated $82 to $87 million in gross revenue, and one-day Guinness World Record for fastest-selling nonfiction book in history. And here's the kicker. He offered 200 book donation bundles at $5,998, which is $30 per book. Even at record-breaking scale, he's pricing at cost because the book isn't the business. The attention is the business. Okay, so now let's talk about how someone actually gets to $1 billion without selling $1 billion worth of courses. Because this is where Hormozi's model becomes absolutely genius, and it's the part nobody else in the business guru space is even attempting. The wealth isn't in the content, it's in the equity stakes that the content makes possible. Here's how the math works. Let's say acquisition.com invests in 20 companies, taking an average 38% stake in each. These companies are doing $3 to $5 million in EBITDA. When Hormozi invests, that's not revenue, that's actual profit. Asset-light service businesses with high cash flow, sales-heavy operations, typically valued at 4 to 6 times EBITDA. So a company doing $4 million in profit is worth $16 to $24 million at entry. Hormozi's 38% stake is worth $6 to $9 million at entry valuation. Now here's where it compounds. Hormozi doesn't just write checks and disappear like a typical investor. He actively helps these companies scale using the exact systems he teaches in his free content. Better offers, better lead generation, better sales processes. If he can help a company 2 times their EBITDA from $4 million to $8 million over 2 to 3 years, and the exit multiple stays at 5 times, that company is now worth $40 million instead of $20 million. His 38% stake went from $7.6 million to $15.2 million. Double the profit, double the equity value. Do that with 20 companies, and you've created $150 million in additional equity value. But wait, because here's where it gets ridiculous. Some of these companies aren't staying at 5 times multiples. If Hormozi helps them build premium offers, recurring revenue models, and brand equity that makes them strategic acquisition targets, they can exit at 7 to 10 times EBITDA. Suddenly, a company doing $8 million in profit is worth $56 to $80 million at exit. His 38% stake is worth $21 to $30 million in one company. Get 3 of those exits in a 5-year period, and that's $60 to $90 million in equity gains from just 3 companies. The portfolio, as of 2024, generates over $250 million in annual revenue. If we conservatively estimate 20% net margins across the portfolio, which is low for asset-light service businesses, that's $50 million in annual combined EBITDA at 5x multiples. The entire portfolio is worth $250 million right now. Hormozi owns an average 38% across these companies, so his equity value is roughly $95 million just in the portfolio. Add the verified $88 million from Gym Launch and Prestige Labs, his school equity stake, his personal brand value, and real estate holdings, he's probably sitting at $150 to $200 million in actual net worth. Today, not self-reported, not estimated from Instagram Lifestyle, calculated from documented exits and portfolio math. Now here's how it becomes a billion. If the portfolio 3 times in value over the next 5 years, going from $250 million combined value to $750 million, and Hormozi's stake is 38%, that's $285 million in portfolio equity alone. Add successful exits from 5 to 10 portfolio companies in the $30 to $100 million range, where he takes his 38% cut, and you're looking at another $200 to $400 million in liquidity events. Add the content empire's compounding value, the school equity if it goes full-scale SaaS unicorn, and potential IPO or acquisition of acquisition.com itself as a holding company. And yeah, a billion becomes not just possible, but probable within the next 7 to 10 years. It's like if Buffett started Berkshire Hathaway, but also ran the world's biggest financial education YouTube channel to find the companies he invests in. The content creates the deal flow. The deals create the wealth. The wealth validates the content. It's a flywheel that feeds itself, and there's no guru on earth who's built anything remotely close to this. So here's the part that makes Hormozi's trajectory toward a billion so different from every other creator entrepreneur. He's explicitly positioned himself as the anti-guru at exactly the moment when guru became a toxic word. While Tai Lopez faces SEC charges for a $112 million Ponzi scheme, while Kevin David got hit with a $53 million FTC judgment, while Dan Locke's students are posting homeless testimonials after dropping $26,000 on courses that promise $10,000 per month, Hormozi's over here giving away the playbook in $30 books and building actual companies. The quiet part of becoming a billionaire isn't an accident, it's the core strategy. Hormozi doesn't post in front of rented Lamborghinis, he films in his house wearing black t-shirts, he doesn't promise overnight success or post income screenshots with fake urgency countdown timers. His content is just him explaining business frameworks in simple language with whiteboard breakdowns. There are no affiliate programs, no upsells to masterminds, no high-ticket coaching programs. His website literally says, "I have nothing to sell you." And that statement in 2025 is worth more than any sales pitch because everyone's so burned by guru scams that authenticity became the ultimate competitive advantage. Here's the psychological genius of it. By not selling courses, Hormozi made his content infinitely more trustworthy. When Tai Lopez tells you, "Here's how to get rich," your brain immediately asks, "Yeah, but aren't you getting rich by selling this course, not by doing the thing you're teaching?" When Hormozi tells you, "Here's how I built and sold businesses for $100 million," you can literally verify the Business Wire press release. The credibility gap that destroyed every other guru doesn't exist because Hormozi's wealth is documented and came from doing the thing, not teaching it. That's why his YouTube engagement rate of 3.79% is higher than most creators with larger audiences. That's why his books stay at number 1 for 3 years instead of 3 weeks. The trust is real because the incentives are aligned. The market figured out that aspiration is a scam and substance wins. In 2015, Here in My Garage went viral because people wanted to believe the guy with the Lambo had secrets worth buying. By 2025, that same video is a migarp, and Tai Lopez is facing federal charges. Meanwhile, Hormozi's video titled "How to Make $100 Million in 18 Months" has 2.8 million views, not because it's clickbait, but because he actually did it. And the video explains the operation operational mechanics. The algorithm, and more importantly, the audience, now rewards people who can prove their claims. Hormozi's entire content strategy is one continuous proof of concept. Every framework he teaches, he used in his businesses. Every offer example he actually made. Every case study you can track down. It's not aspirational content. It's documentary content about how he built wealth, packaged as education. And here's why: quiet scales to a billion. Loud collapses under scrutiny, but quiet compounds under verification. When your wealth is real, time is your friend. Every year that passes, more portfolio companies exit, more equity appreciates, more content validates. Earlier content, more deal flow comes inbound. Hormozi doesn't need to launch a new scam every year to maintain revenue, because the revenue isn't from selling get-rich-quick schemes. It's from owning pieces of real businesses. The incentive is to help those businesses succeed long-term, not extract maximum dollars from students before they realize it doesn't work. That's the model that becomes a billion-dollar empire, not because it's flashy, because it's real. So what do you think? Is Hormozi actually going to hit $1 billion? Or is this another case of overestimating what's possible for creators? Drop a comment. I want to hear your take on whether the content to equity model works long-term, or if there are cracks I'm not seeing. And look, if you want more deep dives on how the smartest business minds actually build wealth instead of just talking about it, hit subscribe. Next week, we're breaking down why Mr. Beast's Feastables could be worth more than his entire YouTube channel, and the math on that is absolutely wild. We're talking potential 9-figure exits from a chocolate bar company built on internet fame, and it's way more interesting than it sounds. Thanks for watching, and remember, if someone's teaching you how to make money but can't show you documented proof they made money doing what they teach, they're selling shovels during a fake gold rush. Hormozi's showing receipts. That's the difference.